Hi, my name is Joey Mosmar. I'm the managing partner of Miller Mosmar CPAs, and welcome to Effective Client Communication. Today I'm going to be going through and explaining to you our concept as Miller Mosmar team of how we go about addressing this very important topic. The first aspect of having effective communication is really understanding something called the client experience. And this concept we've had at Miller Mosmar since the beginning of time. And what really is something that I want our staff to believe in, not just some sort of lip service type of statement that nobody knows. And I'll go through and explain that. First and foremost is, typical company you deal with talks about client satisfaction. Client satisfaction is nice when you're buying a product because, hey, you get the price, you pay for it, you get the money, you're satisfied. It really doesn't produce customer loyalty because that particular store that you go to and buy that particular product, if somebody opens up 5 minutes closer to your house, you're going to end up going to that store. They provide a little bit cheaper price. You're going to go to that other new store. Restaurants are a perfect example where if they don't build a good experience, they lose customers all the time. So for us, the client experience concept, as the way I say it, is where client satisfaction ends, client experience begins. And we really need you as an individual of our team to embody that part. So we have a mantra that we have on everybody's computer. And the mantra is very straightforward. The client doesn't care how much you know until he knows how much you care. This is not just something that we put on a piece of paper and put on it under everybody's monitor. I really want you as an individual to embody that concept. You have to know the client. You have to understand who that client is, because you get a mountain of benefits if you follow the client experience. First, the clients are happy. Two, most importantly, the clients are loyal. At our firm, the average client stays about 10 years. Three, forgiveness. You make a mistake, you can literally call your client and say, hey, I'm really sorry we screwed this up. They know that because you're good friends with them, and they have had good experience with you in the past, that you're not the type of person that does this on purpose, and they will actually forgive you if you, God forbid, make a mistake. Client referrals. This is also critical. Happy clients that we receive business from that have a good experience represent more than 63% of the business that we get from new customers because they will tell their friends that their experience at Miller Mosmar has been fantastic. Finally, happy clients tend to pay bills on time. And that obviously is important when you're in the business of being a CPA firm, because I want to be able to pay your payroll. We want to be able to go through and give benefits, bonuses, all those things. So having the successful client experience is critical in the way we operate, and we want you as a team member to operate. So where does it start? Well, it actually starts with you. Main ingredients is having effective communication is really understanding what you do when you communicate over the phone, what you do when you communicate on emails, what you do when you communicate on cell phones, and even physical visits with the clients. When you get that email, I average probably over 250 emails myself. When you get that email from a client, let's assume it's 4 p.m. on a Friday night, you're trying to get out of the office and you want to get a good result of not getting the client upset, but you're not going to be able to reply to them. So what should you do? Well, you got to be responsive. I will go through and tell the client, even when I'm busy, that I'm going to let them know on Monday. If they say they want to have a phone call and I don't have time, I say, hey, I'm really busy. Can I call you on Monday, or even delegate someone in the firm to do it for me? And let the client know that I've read their email. You don't have to reply, but they need acknowledgement. And that's something that's very important. Now, you can't just make a promise and miss it. You have to do what you say. So if you're saying, I'm going to call you on Monday, put it on your calendar. Make sure you call the client on Monday. If you're going to deliver a work product, whether it be a tax return, personal financial statement, whatever, the concept that we have, the client doesn't care how much you know until he knows how much you care, means that you're going to live up to those expectations. You cannot just come in, make a commitment, and then not be held accountable. You're an accountant. Hold yourself accountable. but you set the date, you set the deadline that you have to reply to the clients. We go back to it being very important for you as an individual to understand this concept, because that is what's going to increase the experience and build that customer/client loyalty. Do you really care about the client? I mean, there's many ways you can show it, but they're really not that complicated, and we're going to give you a couple of tidbits that really we want you to put into action immediately when you're dealing with your clientele at Miller Musmar. Number one, hands down, communicate with the client. Do not assume. If you understand what assume means, I learned this when I was in economics class, and the teacher asked me, hey, what do you think you need to do? I said, oh, I assumed this and I assumed that. He goes, what happens when you assume? And he made me actually go up on the board and write it. And he made me spell it, and assume is A-S-S, the letter U, and then M-E. And the teacher told me that you make an ass out of yourself and me if you assume. So don't assume. Let the client know that you received the email. Communicate with them what's going on throughout the entire project phase. For example, I got your tax return. Thank you so much for giving me the tax organizer. I'm going to start it next week because I'm going to be going on vacation. You pick up the tax return, you start working on it. Hey, Bob, I started the tax return. I got a couple of questions. Can you please answer the following questions for me? Hey, Bob, I just finished preparing the tax return. It's going into review next week. Hey, Bob, the tax return is still in review. I'm going to talk to the manager and see what's going on. Hey, Bob, the tax return review is completed. I think you're going to get a refund. Why don't we go ahead and have a conversation about it? Do you want to do a phone call, or do you want to come into the office? Even when you deliver the tax return and you meet with the client, there's nothing wrong with sending that final beautiful email that says, I hope everything is to your satisfaction. Let me know if there's anything else that I can do. Thank you very much for being my client. These type of communications are even more critical when you are coming into a situation where things are going south. Another tax example. You finished Bob's tax return, and now Bob gets a letter from Uncle Sam, the IRS, that says, hey, you screwed this stuff up. We need you to pay us $14,000, for example. Now, we can do one of two things. One, we can freak out, we can worry, or we can be the best at what we do, which is we step up to the plate. Thank you so much, Bob, for sending me the IRS letter. I'm going to take a look at it next week. Please find this power of attorney, sign it, and I will go through and let you know. Now, you're going to get the information, you're going to meet. It could be a mistake that the customer did. It could be the mistake the IRS did. Or God forbid, but it could be even a mistake that we did where we transposed a number, for example. Whatever it is, communication is critical. You have to let the client know what's going on. When clients do not hear from you, when the clients do not know what's the status of their inquiry, they will assume the worst. When we lose a client, it never fails. They come to me and say, Joey, nobody communicates to me. Joey, I email and nobody sends me a reply. I ask a question, nobody addresses my question. I have no idea where things stand, and I'm left in the dark. And therefore, we're going to somebody else that quote-unquote cares more about us. The client experience, you really got to show that you care, and you show it by, again, communicating constantly. You're rarely going to get someone that's going to get upset with you because you over-communicate. But I tell you what, a lot of people get upset when you under-communicate. So please understand that. And remember, some people favor emails. I, for example, favor face-to-face. Others prefer phone messages, and some people prefer letters. But the point of it is that whatever is the means of communication, please do it regularly with your clientele. Make sure their experience is happy. Follow up, even when you send them a fax. If you're in an admin position at our firm, and let's assume you're sending a fax to a client, you send the fax. You call the client. You say, hey, I sent the fax. I want to make sure you got it. That extra little step shows that you care. Otherwise, you sent the fax, you get a confirmation, and you walk away. Maybe they got it, maybe they didn't get it. It's important that you do these things. When you have a face-to-face meeting, it never fails. Read before you meet. You cannot walk in with every client. Sometimes some of you will have hundreds of clients. And if you don't know anything about the client, you don't know their name, embarrassing. You don't know their spouse's name, even more embarrassing. You don't know their kids' names, their kids' age, the status of their tax return, what kind of refund they have. Or if you're doing accounting, what's the profitability of the business? Are they making money? Are they losing money? Are they in tough situation? Are they in great situation? Reading and understanding the client's financial/tax situation is critical in showing the client that you care. Okay? Don't be that absent-minded, non-knowing individual walking in the meeting asking silly questions that are going to embarrass you and make our firm look bad. Be the one that's the opposite. Knows the client, understands their current picture, knows maybe even why they're coming in, and be prepared to address their concerns. Documentation. When you have all of these examples, whether they be accounting, audit, tax, consulting related relationships with the client, you must document in our systems. We have two major requirements. One is work papers, and the second one is Practice CS, which is our project management software. You have to keep all of those two things updated. On the work papers, we have a simple quote: the client doesn't care how much you know until he knows how much you care. I need you, we need you to make sure that these work papers stand up to the scrutiny of anybody, even if it's 7 years from now. And therefore, the words are there to justify any position, good or bad, deductible or not deductible, capitalized versus expense, that we take as a firm that justifies the position at the time that we made it. You need to state the facts, the reason why you did it, or the reason why you didn't do it. Number two, practice management, which is Practice CS. It is critical that we as a firm know where the projects are and where they stand, because you may be ill, you may be on vacation, you may not be available to answer the client's phone call, and somebody's going to be coming in to help you, and we don't want to be stuck not knowing where things stand with the client, because it makes us look bad in front of the clientele. I hope that really helps. Relationships. Know what the client likes. Believe it or not, I know the client's kids' names. I know what college they go to. I know what's their favorite football team. I know their pets' names. Clients do business with people that they like. They don't do business with people that are completely clueless about them. Imagine when you go to your favorite restaurant. They know what you drink. They know what you eat. They might even know your favorite table. How does that compare to someone who doesn't know who you are, even though you've been there 10, 20 times? Understand them. Now, believe it or not, you also have other clientele. What I've been talking about, most people think about are our, customers. You also deal with your colleagues. And whether it's the admin team, the staff, the managers, the partners of the firm, we all need to work together. And the more we can become teammates and know how we like to operate, the better. And internally, that could mean some people like emails, some people like instant messaging, some people like to be talked to first or have them explain to you why you're asking them to do a particular task versus not. And again, internal communication is just as important as external communication in the firm. Do not ignore each other's emails. Do not ignore each other's inquiries. We are a deadline-based company, and there is an entire chain of people that are involved. So when you have a client that comes on board, accounting may pick it up and start doing the accounting work. Or audit may pick it up and do the audit work. At the end, you've got the tax department. They have to do the tax returns. Everything we work with has got a deadline. If one part of the chain breaks or one part of the chain is not assembled quickly enough, the rest of the chain is not going to be together. Do not allow the chain to break, because if it breaks, the client experience is bad. And our line of business really has pretty much very low margins of error. One, we go through and we work as a company to be able to meet deadlines. Therefore, we prepare, for example, a tax return. Let's assume we get everything right, and we assemble the tax return right, and someone in admin forgets to email the tax return to the client, forgets to mail the signing forms to the IRS, forgets to mail the envelopes after everything's been signed and everything's been assembled. and sends it regular mail versus FedEx, and we miss a deadline. Even though we go through and we meet every single requirement, but we miss the deadline by mailing the tax return to the wrong address or deliver it and miss the deadline, the client is not going to be impressed with our result and they're going to be very upset. Irrespective, the whole point of it is that when we go through and we work, we have to work as a team, and it takes teamwork to make the dream work. So we need everybody along the chain to work in a way that covers all of the requirements to have a successful result. I want to thank you for attending this seminar. Look forward to working with you all to help achieve these really positive results. Thank you and have a great day.